This is Maundy Thursday. It's one of the heaviest nights of our Christian year. It's so much happening on Maundy Thursday. In the scriptures, first of all, we've got Jesus coming for dinner, the actual Lord's Supper, as we call it, the discussing who is the greatest, who's going to sit beside Jesus, who's going to be on the right hand and left hand, and of course there's two conversations going on there. James and John, I believe, are the disciples that are doing it. They're thinking of physically at the table, where Jesus is talking about the two criminals that are going to be beside him on the cross, or at least that's how we interpret it after the fact. You've got Judas going off, betrayal, you've got Peter's denial, you've got the praying and why can't you stay awake with me. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of richness in it, so many places where we could spend time. And the church, as they celebrate Maundy Thursday, we've got some of our most beautiful services. When it comes to Maundy Thursday, of course, the sharing of the Eucharist, the washing of the feet, which is something that we see out of the Gospel of John. We have the stripping of the temple. And if you ever have an opportunity to experience that, please do, because it is done in silence, and it is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had worshipfully. If you're part of a community that does a Seder on Maundy Thursday, please stop. First of all, Jesus never celebrated the Seder. That's something that comes out of the second, third, fourth century, long after Jesus is gone. It was never part of his tradition. Second of all, it really is part of the Jewish tradition, and we don't get the right to co-opt that just because we think it's cool. And quite frankly, we don't need to. Our own celebrations are enough. So as we look at the scriptures that for Maundy Thursday, what do we pay attention to? What do we talk about? The fact that the disciples could not stay awake long enough to stay with him. That they were fighting over who was the greatest of them, who was going to be Jesus' special pick. Having swords, that they're going to fight off whoever is coming in to get Jesus. All of this shows a very earthly, very literal, very kind of in-person sense. The disciples still don't get it. Even after all this time, they still don't get it. And Jesus' frustration with them is growing and growing the closer he comes to a very painful experience. But one of the things I do want to highlight that, I talked about at I said we were going to be doing this, and I talked about the version of Jesus Christ Superstar that kind of impressed me this year. There's a hand gesture, I believe it's John Legend, I could be wrong on that, does when he divides the bread and the wine. Now, a couple of things before we do that. So often when we look at Eucharist, we're looking at the bread and the wine through Greek eyes. We never take it back to the Hebrew eyes, which is where Jesus would have been. So we're doing Hebrew understanding through Greek, through Latin, eventually into European languages that come across the pond to North America. So there's a nuance lost in that. And by John Legend's gestures, there was just like, here, kind of take this and take this. It was casual. And I think we've lost the casual sense of what Eucharist was about. And what that night was about was Jesus celebrating with his friends. We've turned it into this high, holy moment, which is not completely wrong, because religiosity can be very powerful in the rituals. Absolutely. But when we want to break down why it is significant to individuals, sometimes heady thoughts and heady gestures don't do the job. And Jesus was talking as a Hebrew man. Sure, it was recorded in Greek, but he was talking as a Hebrew man with a Hebrew understanding. When he talked about the wine is my blood, for a Hebrew, that would be essence. And in Hebrew tradition, great leaders were willing to walk ahead and sacrifice themselves. This is not atonement theology. That came later. That's something else altogether. This is not Jesus paying for our sins. That's actually kind of bullshit. We're talking about a leader going ahead of his people and spilling blood on their behalf. That's the Hebrew understanding of, this is my blood spilt for you. that I'm going ahead of you. We talk about the body, that this is who I am. This is what has made me. I'm breaking this apart for all of you. It's more than just the elements, and I think that's where we get tripped up. Is it's not about, well, I guess transformation, for want of a better word. It's not about what the elements could become. It's about what they meant symbolically, not necessarily physically. And it took the elements that were common to every table. When Jesus sat with his friends, he was not thinking, okay, you know what? A couple thousand years from now, people are going to be sitting around and they're going to look for a ritual, and this is going to be seen as a sacrament that people do it exactly this way. That wasn't the thinking. The thinking was, I'm with my friends for the last time. When you do this, do it and remember me. And remember me. Don't do it just to remember me. But you're going to do this anyway. You're going to spill more wine. You're going to break more bread. It's going to be here because it's part of everybody's meal. The reality of Jesus, the lessons, the teaching, everything that we were taught was meant to change us as people. That was the goal. It was never about starting a religion and having all of these rituals and standards and expectations and exclusions and whatever else. It was Jesus, the person, God incarnate, who was among us to show us a different way of being. And as the earthly portion of that reveal happened, he spent these last days, these last hours with his friends before he went ahead of them again to make it better for them. Again, no atonement theology, just a leader knowing where this is going to go. When we break bread tonight, don't make it a ritual. Don't make it something that is so highfalutin that most people don't understand what's going on. Don't make it magical and accessible. It was a casual thing. It was this is the food that's on my table and everybody's table. When you do this, because you're going to do this, remember me. Don't forget me. Let me be part of everything through my memory. Let me be there reminding you where the values are. When you crack open the bread, just take a second and realize, yeah, Jesus did this. And I'm remembering a little bit more about the importance of his message. It was not about the sacraments. It was about changing the world. Christianity has never been meant to be a religion. It was meant to be a lifestyle change. And you'll notice that every progressive move, political, atheist, whatever philosophical way it is, all of them look like Jesus' message: to feed, to love, to care, to protect. So when we are breaking bread tonight or in the next number of days, remember this person who walked this earth and taught us that there was hope of something more. Even as he went through something excruciatingly painful, there is still hope in all of that.